Hey, listener. Name you're ready for a really fascinating deep dive today.
I am. I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, this is exciting. We're diving into All About Love by Bell Hooks. It's like this book is everywhere right now, even though it came out a while back.
It's everywhere.
And for good reason. It's so insightful.
It's a classic.
For sure.
So, we're calling this a deep dive for a reason, right? We're going to try to distill some of the big ideas from All About Love. So it's like a crash course in bell hooks thinking on love.
Perfect for, like, if you're curious about the book but haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Exactly. Or maybe you're like me and you love a good self-help book, but sometimes you just want the Spark Notes version, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, give me the Cliff Notes. I'm busy.
Exactly. So, okay, let's jump in. One of the first things that struck me about this book is how bell hooks, she really goes after this idea that we don't even have a good definition of love as a society.
Yeah, she's like, we throw this word love around all the time, but like, what do we even mean by it? You know? Totally. Like, I love my coffee, I love my dog, I love my partner. It's like, do those even mean the same thing?
Right. And she's not just talking about romantic love either. She's talking about love as this really powerful force that shows up in all areas of life.
So, like, how does she actually define it then?
Okay, so her definition is the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth.
Okay. Spiritual growth. That sounds kind of deep.
It does sound kind of intense, right? But I think what she means by it is it's about being committed to becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be and helping others do the same.
Okay, I'm following.
And that involves things like compassion, understanding, and really connecting with ourselves and the world around us in a deeper way.
Okay, so it's not just about feeling a certain way, it's about taking action.
Exactly. It's about showing up, making an effort. It's a verb, not just a noun.
Love is a verb. I
Right.
like that.
Right. And Hooks talks about how this plays out in our everyday actions. Do we treat the people we love with care and respect? Are we trustworthy? Are we committed to their well-being?
And again, this goes back to what you were saying earlier about this applying to more than just romantic relationships, right?
Absolutely. Think about your friendships, your family relationships, even your relationship with yourself.
Oh, that's a good one. The relationship with yourself.
Yeah. Do you treat yourself with love?
Ooh, tough questions.
Right. And Hooks really emphasizes how our early experiences, especially in childhood, can really shape our capacity for love.
Oh, this is so true. Like, my parents weren't super affectionate when I was growing up, and I've definitely noticed that showing affection doesn't always come naturally to me.
It makes sense, right?
Uh-huh.
If you didn't have those models of healthy love early on, it can be harder to know how to give and receive love in a way that feels good.
Exactly. And Hooks gives so many examples of this in the book, like how the way we saw our parents interact with each other can influence how we approach conflict in our own relationships.
Oh, 100%. Did your parents argue a lot? Did they sweep things under the rug? Or did they actually talk through their problems?
It's amazing how much we pick up from our families, even without realizing it.
And it's not about blaming our parents or anything. It's just about understanding how those early experiences shaped us.
Totally. It's about awareness, right? Like once you're aware of those patterns, you can start to make different choices.
Yeah, you can start to break free from those cycles.
Okay, so we've talked about Hooks' definition of love, the importance of putting love into action, and how our childhoods can impact our ability to love. But there's so much more in this book.
Right. This is just scratching the surface, honestly. There's a reason why people are still talking about it after 20-something years.
It's crazy how relevant this book is.
It really is. She could have written it today.
Okay, so speaking of how much is packed into this book, it's actually divided into 13 chapters.
13 chapters, yeah. So each chapter kind of tackles a different aspect of love, like a different ingredient almost.
Oh, I like that. Like ingredients.
Yeah. So there's a chapter on clarity, which is all about being clear about what love actually is.
Right. We've got to define it first.
Exactly. And then there's justice, honesty, commitment.
Okay. Honesty. That's a big one for me. I can sometimes struggle with being completely honest in relationships, even if it's something small.
Yeah, and Hooks talks about how honesty is essential for building trust and intimacy. If we're not being real with each other, how can we truly connect?
And that goes back to that idea of vulnerability we were talking about earlier, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Honesty requires us to be vulnerable, to let someone see our true selves, even the messy parts.
Which can be scary.
For sure. But it's also how we build those deep, meaningful connections.
Okay, so we've only got a few minutes left, but I want to make sure we talk about the legacy of All About Love. Why do you think this book still resonates so strongly with readers today?
I think it's because deep down, we all crave love and connection. Like, it's a basic human need, right?
Yeah.
And in a world that can feel really isolating and kind of messed up sometimes.
Yeah, especially these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's on their phones. We're constantly bombarded with bad news. It's easy to feel disconnected.
Totally. It's like we're more connected than ever technology-wise, but also more disconnected as humans.
Exactly. And I think Hooks offers this really powerful message of hope. Like, she's saying that even though love can be messy and challenging, it's also this incredible force for healing, growth, and even social change.
That's so powerful. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, listener name, I want to leave you with something to ponder. After hearing all of this, how would you define love? And how can you put that definition into practice in your own life? It's a lifelong journey, but it's a journey worth taking.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this deep dive, it's that love is always worth fighting for, both in our own lives and in the world around us. So go out there and make some love happen, listener name. You got this.
You got this.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive. See you next time, listener name.